Welcome to lesson 4.3, the second part. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about dividing polynomials using synthetic division. It's really important to realize that when you're actually using synthetic division, it has to be in the form x plus or minus a number, x minus k, x plus k, whatever the form is, it's going to be in that form when you use it. The other important thing to remember is you're going to have to make sure you fill in all of the missing gaps. So in this problem, you'll see that we're missing that x term, so keep that in mind when we're going through 4x squared. We'd have to include the 0x plus 9 in that problem there. So the 0x is the missing term that we need to include. Synthetic division is a lot easier than long division. In order to do that, what we do is we just take all of these coefficients, the coefficients that we see in front of the number. So that would be -1, 4, 0, and 9. We're going to take those numbers, and then what we're going to do is we're going to write the other value that we're dividing by. So this 3 that's there, and we're going to write it right over there. Now, it's all about the setup with synthetic division, so make sure you set it up correctly. Whatever that number is, x minus 3, we want to make sure that it's that value, that 3. So just like we did when we were talking about transformations, make sure that you get the right number that's going to be on the outside. Then with synthetic division, all you do is you bring down the first number. So that always is going to come down, whatever that first number is, it comes straight down. And then you're going to multiply. You're going to take this number here, this 3, and you're going to multiply it by -1. 3 times -1 gives you -3, and we write that up there in that spot right below the 4. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a series of addition problems. So we're going to do 4 plus -3. We're going to end up with 1, and we're going to repeat that process again. So we'll take this 3 times 1, and 3 times 1 is 3, and then we're going to add 0 plus 3 and get 3. We're going to multiply again. We got 3 times 3, which is 9, and we're going to add the 9 and the 9 together to get 18. We're done the problem. That is all there is to synthetic division. We actually have finished doing the problem. You just got to interpret the results and realize what it is that this is telling you. What I like to do with this last number is I kind of like to chop it off, because that number right there is going to represent the remainder. It's what's left over. It's that thing that you were writing on top of the fraction when we were doing long division. And the rest of this actually ends up being the polynomial. And we build the polynomial backwards. So that's going to be my constant term. Okay, this is going to be, the next term is going to be my term and my coefficient in front of my x. And then I have the coefficient in front of my x squared. So my final answer up here, the final answer is going to be -x squared plus 1x plus 3, and then we got the remainder, so plus 18 over x minus 3. Let's go over another problem just to make sure you got it. The idea is going to be the same. Again, do you see how we're missing that term? So we got 2x to the third plus 0x squared minus x minus 7. That's going to give me my coefficients. So my coefficients for this problem are going to be 2, 0, -1, and -7. I'll draw my line. What's the number that's going to go up here in the corner? Well, it should be x minus something. So in this case, x minus -3. So the value I'm going to use for synthetic division is -3. Just like in the last problem, I will bring down the first number, 2. And then I'll multiply. -3 times 2 gives me -6. I add 0 plus -6, I get -6. I do -3 times -6, I get positive 18. -1 plus 18 is 17. I'll do -3 times 17 and get -51. And I'll add -7 and -51 and get -58. Again, I'll chop that part off. That's going to be my remainder. So again, I have my constant term, I'll have my x, and I'll have my x squared coefficient. So the answer is going to be 2x squared minus 6x plus 17 plus the remainder, -58, over x plus 3, what I divided by. That's my final answer. One more. Let's try it again. Why don't you pause the video right now? We'll just do one problem real quick, see if you set it up correctly. So pause the video, set the problem up. I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. Your setup should look like this. Did you do it right? Okay, let's go through and do the synthetic division. You may want to pause the video. Let's see if you end up with the right things. Okay, so we're going to bring down the 3. We'll multiply it. 1 times 3 is 3. We'll add -7 and 3 and get -4. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. 6 plus negative 4 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2, and 8 plus 2 is 10. That ends up being the remainder. Your final answer, 3x squared minus 4x plus 2 plus 10 over x minus 1. That ends up being your final answer. How'd you do? Here's 2 more for you to try on your own. Go ahead, try them out. Don't forget, especially here with this first example, you're going to have 2 things you're going to have to fill in. Don't forget to fill in the missing gaps. Pause the video right now, and then we'll go over the solutions. All right, let's take a look at number 1. Check your setup. Did you do the setup correctly? Your setup should look like this. Make sure you have a negative 4 here. Make sure you filled in the x to the 3rd term and the regular old x term. Now we'll go through and do the synthetic division. Bring down the 1, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add them together. And you got to add those together. Let's see here, and you get 233 as your remainder. So your final answer, I got to think about this. So I got the constant, I got the x, I got the x squared, I have the x to the 3rd term. So your final answer is x to the 3rd minus 4x squared plus 15x minus 60 plus 233 over x plus 4 for the final answer. All right. Number 2, did you set it up correctly? You should end up with a negative 3 there on the outside, and then your coefficients right here like that. We'll bring down the first number, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add them together. There's your remainder. Negative 2x squared plus 10x minus 22 plus 76 over x plus 3 is your final answer for this problem. Wow, synthetic division is a lot quicker than long division. So see if you can do this. Make sure you set up the problems correctly. That's all about the setup here. One of the other nice things that we can use synthetic division for is actually evaluating a polynomial. It's kind of a nice shortcut of what we can do. It's something called the remainder theorem. I won't go into the details about this, but when I'm trying to evaluate, like in this problem, f of negative 2 with the function that I'm giving there, I go ahead and all I do is I do synthetic division with the negative 2, and I repeat the process. So negative 2, we got the negative 5, we got the 11, we filled in everything. We'll do the synthetic division with negative 2. That looks a little something like this. And you'll see that we end up with the numbers that look like this. So this is where it's different, though. Instead of you needing to write a polynomial, I'm not actually doing division. What I was doing was I was plugging negative 2 into my function f of x. So instead of me doing 4 times negative 2 to the 3rd power minus 2 times negative 2 squared minus 5 times negative 2 plus 11, I can use synthetic division and end up with, get this, the remainder, negative 19. Go ahead and try that out. Type this into your calculator, and I bet you end up with a value of negative 19. Synthetic division provides me with a real shortcut. Now, if I have a calculator, it may be pointless to do this, but before the use of calculators, this would have been a nice way that mathematicians would have solved or evaluated polynomial expressions when you plug in particular values. Why don't you give this one a try, see if you come up with the right answer, and then you could check yourself with a calculator. So go ahead, I'll give you a minute, try this problem out. Your answer with synthetic division should look a little something like this, and you will see that f of 2 is equal to 42. Check yourself in your calculator, make sure you got it right. It's always what the remainder is right there. Folks, that's all I have for you with this lesson, so good luck with any practice that you need. And of course, if you have questions, don't be afraid to come and ask. Talk to you soon.